If you look at all the common issues and problems that we deal in today's world and society, whether if it's hunger, poverty, right, economic issues, lack of money, right, just these general issues, or global warming, just like these general issues that are consistently here on a daily basis, the root cause of all of these issues in the first place is the lack of knowledge. Now listen, I know it sounds super cliche because you hear a lot of people saying it, right? That the lack of knowledge is the root of all evil, that the lack of knowledge is all this and that. But if you actually do decide to look into everything in today's society and all of the major issues and problems that we've dealt with, it is due to the lack of knowledge. Honestly speaking, like, we can't actually be blamed for any of this stuff, because if you actually and the people that are responsible of how things are in today's world and society, the people that are responsible of running today's world and society, right, are probably some of the richest people to ever exist in the history of society, right? And for the people that want to say, oh yeah, there's nobody running the world, there's nobody running society, there isn't a group of people, that are behind scenes, that are, doing things behind closed doors, bro, this stuff is as broad as daylight. Like, if you aren't seeing it for what it truly is, I mean, there's so much proof on social media, there's evidence everywhere. Like, they do this stuff in broad daylight, right? It's like you have eyes but you can't actually see, you have ears but you don't know how to hear. So that's simply just being ignorant, and I don't know what to tell you, right? But they are purposely gatekeeping this information from us. They know how to solve these issues, whether if it's like how we actually want to change our lives, the secret intricacies of how the universe works. But because they feed off of our negative energy and our struggles and our negative emotions, they will never tell us how to actually be successful in life. And more than that, like, it's because of the fact that they've consistently had to feed us with lies and lies and lies, right? Just about how life works. And they know this stuff isn't true, but like I mentioned before, they feed off of our negative energy and emotions, right? They feed off of us struggling, being anxious, being scared, right? Just essentially negative emotions, right? Like, for example, like, another lie that we've all been constantly taught growing up is that you always have to consistently work hard, right? This isn't necessary. Like, they always have to feed you a lie with a little bit of truth, right? And obviously, like, you have to work hard, but it's like, in their kind of definition of it, you have to be working hard is like working 70 plus hours a week at your job, right? When you're not even getting fairly compensated for that amount of work that you're putting into your job, right? Just a bunch of other lies and spiel as well that they know isn't true. But because, they want to gatekeep this information because they don't want people to be successful, obviously they know and understand that if this information wasn't gatekept, just imagine how society would look like. Just imagine how the rest of the world would look like, the people, just everything. Whether if we're talking about hunger, poverty, what else? Like, just any huge issue that we consistently deal with in today's world, it's solvable. It's 100% solvable. But like I mentioned before, they feed off of our negative energy and our emotions, so they'll never do anything about it because they'd like to see people suffer. All of the major issues that we deal with, that are negative issues, of course, that we deal with in today's society, bro, they're all tied back and rooted due to the lack of knowledge, bro. I'm telling you. And because of the fact that we were never truly formally educated on just the small things and aspects of life, like how to actually become successful, how to actually live a life that's more aligned with you, we were never actually formally educated on just simple things like how the universe works, like the small intricacies of how life works. We're living lives that completely disalign with the kind of people that we are, and completely are just the opposite lives that nobody wants to be living. We're living lives that we completely dread, right? And it's not even because of us, but it's because of the lack of knowledge. We were never formally educated on these things. And this has literally been going on since the beginning of time, right? Like, a lack of knowledge, gatekeeping knowledge from us on purpose. And because of this, we're never able to live our lives truly to the fullest. We're never able to live our lives how we envision ourselves to be living our lives. Whether if you want to talk about sickness, disease, whether if you want to talk about health issues, right? Just general issues that we consistently deal with in today's society, this is all because of the lack of knowledge, right? If you knew how to take care of yourself and your health, nobody would ever be sick. Hospitals wouldn't even exist. It will never let you know that there's been a cure for all these crazy diseases. There's been cures for these things, right? It's just, and the cure for these things isn't really that complicated or hard to understand. It's really just maintaining your diet, just eating healthy, consistently just doing your thing, staying active, right? But of course, they're against these things, so they have to preach things that say the exact opposite, right? Things that completely destroy your mental state of mind every day consistently, right? Things that completely do the opposite of building up the person that you want to be consistently, right? Like processed foods, just like all this garbage stuff that everyone likes to glorify but constantly eat, that's destroying, eating themselves up from the inside out, right? I'm not saying you can't enjoy yourself, but what I am saying is to be a lot more consciously aware of what you consume on a daily basis, because you have to keep in mind and understand that these things only exist to keep hospitals in business, bro. Like, that's literally what it's for. And this is literally just the tip of the iceberg, because pharmaceutical stuff will never actually address the root cause of anything. But because nobody really realizes this or understands it or wants to talk about it, it's just going to be a repetitive cycle, right? Hospitals will continue to be in business, treating sick patients, giving them something that's not actually going to address the root issue of their health issue, and it's just going to be a repetitive cycle. Nobody wants to talk about it, but the lack of knowledge is the root of all of this world's suffering, bro. I'm telling you. This stuff doesn't even have to do with just specifically health issues. This has to do with anything, any sort of major issue that we're dealing with in today's society and in today's world. That's just been a consistent thing, but nobody wants to talk about the fact that we're dealing with these issues, first of all, because of the fact that knowledge has been purposely kept from us. Second of all, because the people at the top, they could do something about these issues, but they never will, because they'd like to feed off of our negative energy, our suffering, right? They'd like to feed off of these things. Bro, I'm telling you, these things could easily be dealt with. Easily. Like, these people at the top have the most money in the entire face of the planet. They could do something about it, but they never will. Right? They never will. It's like me personally, right? Like, I obviously don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it's like I've seen enough. There's just been too much proof. Like, this stuff happens in broad daylight for me to come to the point and understanding and conclusion that, you know, these people that are responsible, that are in like the highest political positions of power, that are, you know, doing things behind closed doors, right? That are actually, you know, the ones that are responsible of pulling the strings, right? They just don't have our best interests. They truly don't. Like, it's just so obvious. Like, they don't care about us. They're not interested in making us live lives that actually align with who we are as people. They're not actually interested in making us become financially successful people. They're interested in us doing the exact opposite, which is completely just, I don't know, just making us live lives that we completely hate, and that's what we're doing today. I don't have proof, but it's just so obvious now. Like, these people do not have our best interest. They don't care about us whatsoever. Like, there's just so much proof. Like, I don't need to go on an hour ramble kind of explaining why these people don't have our best interest. Like, there's just too much proof. Whether if we're talking about political people that have money, like, they don't care. They don't care, because they feed off of things that we suffer off of. And this is exactly why all of the issues that we deal with in today's society and in today's world, all of the major issues, whether you want to talk about poverty, the economy, right, inflation, right, these things are all dealt with because of the lack of knowledge, right? And, you know, it's crazy because all of these issues are actually solvable. They could be dealt with, but the people that are in the highest like political positions of power, they don't care. Like, they don't care. They actually want to see us suffer and, you know, essentially have a hard time with life. They know how to win life because they know the small intricacies of how life works, and also the universe as well. But because they like to gatekeep knowledge and, you know, essentially they gain some sort of pleasure from us suffering, they'll never tell us, right? But yeah, y'all, so this is just like, I don't know, my thoughts recently. Let me know down below in the comments what you think, if you agree, if you disagree. Give me a good argument as well. Like, I love it when people like actually they disagree, but in like a respectful manner. Like, they're able to challenge my perspective and my opinion on something, but like in a more respectful manner, right? So let me know what you think down below in the comments. But yeah, y'all, so I'm gonna end the video off that. I hope y'all enjoyed, but that's King Oneness, and I'm out.